2018 regular selectmen's meeting. Is, all the selectmen are here. Is Rebecca England, the select woman, is not here yet. I was expecting her, but we'll see if she comes in. Please stand with me and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rebecca's on her way in.
Okay. First order of business is approval of the minutes. Is the August 7th meeting we did not do because Ed wasn't here last time. Is the three members that were at that meeting are here now. Is we have a motion to accept the minutes for August 7th.
Nice to see you.
Second.
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. And we have minutes from our August 21st, 2018 meeting. Is, do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I wasn't here. Was I here?
You were
I was here. A motion to approve the minutes of August 21st?
Is, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Brings us to our first public comment. First public comment is 15 minutes. If you have a comment, please step to the podium, give your name and address, and address the chair. Or questions through the chair.
Perfect, isn't it?
Seeing none, is, we have no public hearing tonight. And reports of committees is BCTV have not had their monthly meeting. They're having that next week, I believe, and Terry will give a report at our next meeting. And I have nothing from the Envision Berwick.
Actually, James asked me to do Envision Berwick.
What's that?
James asked me to do Envision
Oh,
Berwick.
step right up then. We have,
Rick Vandenberg, 51 East Pasture Road, Envision Berwick. And also I'm here tonight, and I'll speak in a little while from Crederi Associates, and I'll be presenting on the draft analysis of Brownfield's cleanup alternatives that's in draft form and is currently in public comment. So what James asked me to talk about regarding Envision Berwick is that we have a meeting tomorrow, and we're in the process of planning one combined event for two things. First and foremost being what we're calling Prime Cleanup Day. So it's a day where we hope to engage the public and get people out and actually onto the property and get them to do a little work, and then also do a presentation on the cleanup work that has gone on and the cleanup work that is proposed for lots 130, which is the Blue Sword building, and lot 133, which is the parking lot on the
Day is
adjacent
that?
park. That is the Saturday the 25th. Is that right?
Wait a minute.
sounds familiar.
Is that right? It's that
Saturday's the
Saturday the 22nd?
29th then.
22nd, so the 29th?
It's that last Saturday of the month is basically. And then, yeah.
So
Okay.
why are we doing this?
So
Another freebie for Kahea?
no, well, it was actually my brainchild, and what I wanted to do is keep people engaged about the project, and want people to become aware about it and get them on the property to experience the property from a different aspect, and at the same time tell them about the important work that's been done and about the important work that is coming. So it's really about that. We can open up one of the buildings, let people look in, and so for the first time, people can start to see kind of what's going on from a different perspective.
And what are you hearing from Mark, Rick?
So Mark was here last week, and we talked.
You didn't even know it, right?
He came to the traffic meeting.
He gave us notice that morning before the group from
The traffic study.
came in.
Yeah, okay.
We had no heads up he was coming. In fact, I didn't expect him, because I'd been letting him know when the meeting was. But he was here.
And I think that day you set maybe the closing date, or at least talked about the
We're
closing?
closing on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock,
This Thursday?
this Thursday.
And we have nothing to go along that, what he's gonna do other than what he's been talking about now.
I sent a report, you can get that?
I got it, but it doesn't go into any detail at all, Steve, about,
Well, we don't have any detail, just that he's working with Les Bodwell, and until he owns the property, he can't do anything. So,
well, I'm
that's what
sure,
we're waiting for.
I'm gonna be a little bit argumentative about this. I'm not happy about it, because I gotta listen to people about it, okay? This town has stepped way far and above what we should have for Cahaya, okay? We've done a lot of work. And I keep hearing he's gonna make money. Well, I work with plenty of developers that put everything in a wheelbarrow and take a chance, okay? And for us to think that he's gonna have a partner or something to go in there, he's gonna take the first chance, Steve, okay?
I know that, Mark.
But we have nothing to do, we can't back him up with anything. What do we have to say, you gotta do this? He can let that sit for 40 years. And that's the part that's wrong. And we're gonna make it all good for him all the time and keep blowing smoke up the public's whatever?
Yeah.
I just feel, I gotta catch the crap from the world when I hear about it. I don't wanna hear about it anymore. I mean, until he starts doing something, he's gonna put anything on the line, really.
I think in response to what you're saying, and I've heard it from a number of people, and to a large degree, I agree with what you're saying, and there's a frustration that certainly goes along with people waiting to see what will happen. But I will tell you that once you close on the property and the property the first 7 lots become Mark's, that the driver becomes Mark's interest in making the project work. He's got to make it work. It's in his court. There's
Right,
no
we
more
know-
work
we
that
know
we
he's
can
got
do
it.
for him.
But if he came to me, or came to this board 6 months ago, stood up right where you are,
Right.
and said, I know I have a close on it, but I got a guy that wants to buy this piece of land, can we get this going in here? We would have done it. So, let me tell you, I don't see the ambition of the driver to fire his belly.
It's gonna end
I
up
don't like it.
residential. It's gonna end up residential, and that's my concern, is because he sat here and he said to all of us, it's going to be on demand. He did. He said, it's going to be on demand. And that is the biggest concern I have. I don't see him doing anything. I don't see him bringing up, or to Mark's point,
I mean.
he's
get-
this big developer.
No,
I don't
he's
see
not.
anything.
He's not.
Exactly. I don't see
I
anything with
mean,
him.
get the windows replaced, paint the building, show us what that drawing on that big cement building is, get the outside finished. How you gonna market something that looks like that? Never mind what the inside looks like, get the outside looking good.
Right.
No one's gonna come in there and wants to open up
I
a
know.
goddamn 2-penny meat market and wanna have to do all that investment.
Nobody's gonna
Give
go
me a
there.
break, Rick, you know that and I know that.
I know.
And it's like, we gotta, as a town, stand up against this.
Right.
And get it straightened out. Sorry.
I understand the frustration
Public
and.
session.
No.
No, I
No, we're
I
both
completely
hearing it, 'cause
understand
I'm
your-
hearing it
your
as well.
frustration. Yeah, and I can tell you this, that the only thing that I know is brownfields and environmental work,
I
and
know.
so I feel like.
Well, you hear things too, so.
Yeah, no, and at every turn, what I try to do is what people that came before me, like Frank Underwood did, and that is when somebody expressed interest in the property, I send them Mark's way. When there's something that I think that we can do as a community, I try to represent the community and try to do it so it can.
I think we ought to give Frank a lump of money and say, Frank, go chase this guy down. And let Frank just drive him crazy till he gets something done. Frank would. And just get him going. I mean, someone's gotta get him going, and we have no way of doing it.
I told.
So I guess we
I-
have to sign the papers. We gotta sign the papers.
Well, that's about certainly about the
He-
closing. I mean, I think
and as
that
you guys
that is
think,
your
he's
decision
gonna
as
jump into
selectmen.
action because all of a sudden we signed some papers. I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right too, and because, the nice thing about this is I live in this community, so at the end of the day, my interest in doing this project was because I drove by an empty shuttered building and I wanted to see something happen. So
Right.
I think we all are a little apprehensive about what the future holds. But what I told Mark is anytime he comes and we talk to him, I get a little bit higher level of reassurance because I think that he represents, because he's the primary owner in it, that I told him he's the best, he's the best asset in the project. He's the guy that has to become invested and can make the project work. And and when he comes and is on the ground here, certainly says good things.
Well, he said that.
Now there's
the
gotta be
town
follow
manager-
through.
He said to someone not too long ago that $2 million you can have the place. That sound like a guy that's vested?
I don't know.
No, it doesn't.
No, it
To me, it
doesn't. I
doesn't.
think I think everybody heard that. I don't think it's been confirmed, but I think we heard the same thing.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry for bugging you.
Prime cleanup day. So we're gonna do that cleanup. There's a rain date for the following Saturday. We're gonna try to engage some of the Springfield people. I don't know, Chairman Wright, has Serena Galshaw talked to you about trying to
No.
engage them for that?
I'm
No.
not even sure they're available at this point. Are they working inside the sub now, the crew? Can't say.
They're getting there.
Because we were told, once they start, once everything is done on the inside and they have to start working on the software installation and all the electronic stuff, the crew won't be available. They'll be inside the ship
Training.
and training.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's. and I
No,
think
nobody's
we're pretty close to
contacted
that
me about
point.
anything.
Okay. So,
I can certainly call.
yeah.
I've talked to the commander and ask.
So hopefully that can, obviously we're gonna try to do that project, and the biggest piece of that is the engagement and letting people know what's going on in the property and what will go on the adjacent properties in the future. That's the things after the property closes that we can control and we can do something with, is doing that project. The second piece is starting some activities. As you all know, for Great Falls Park, there has been a couple of design concept for that project, and that project is moving forward with the idea of, at the same day while Prime Cleanup Day is going on, doing a dual function at the Great Falls Park and taking care of some of the low-hanging fruit that's on that plan. In other words, there's some landscaping, there's some limbing, there's some other things that can happen at Great Falls Park at the time. And so really, that's kind of what, in addition to other things, that's what James wanted me to come and speak to tonight, is those two things, and getting the word out about those things, if there are
Is there a
people.
landscape plan James has?
Yeah, so, I think one of which is on the wall. I haven't been at the last few meetings, and I know that they're pushing forward with a couple of concepts that has been favored.
There's some renditions in the town office already.
And recently, they did a public meeting in the last few weeks.
I'm assuming Cahaya's putting in the stone dust walkway, paying for the landscaping, right?
Well, we're talking about Great Falls Park.
Oh, Great Falls Park.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then the other piece of that, though, to bring up the Cahaya project, is on the green space, Great Envision Berwick has been looking at options to maybe do some kind of design for a seating area or some bricked walkway and a patio, incorporating some of the old Prime color mills or something like that. And so we've been working on that as well. In addition to that, trying to come up with when and if the green space becomes town property again, what are we going to do with it? So we've been talking about that. That's really it.
That's it for the Invasion Barrack? Is any further questions? If not, you can stay right there. We're going right into the draft analysis of the Brownfields cleanup.
Great, thank you. Rick Vandenberg, Corderia Associates. So we have a draft analysis of Brownfields cleanup alternatives. I brought a couple of figures that show the property, and specifically tonight, the draft analysis of Brownfields cleanup alternatives is for the Blue Sort Building, Lot 130, and the parking lot, Lot 133. And it's basically from a cleanup perspective, how do we move forward there? And we've been working with DEP, and Rick Curry from the DEP is here tonight, and he's here to support the project. And we've been talking with Rick. We submitted our plan while it went out publicly. We've also given it to Rick, and we've also given it to EPA. Frank Underwood at EPA has reviewed the plan and doesn't have any comments for us. We've been working more closely because DEP is the state partner with us on this project. We've been working more closely with Rick to devise a plan. And you all may remember Ben Guidy. Ben Guidy was on the project. Ben moved out of the state and is up to other things, and Rick is taking over the project for Ben. And
So,
go ahead.
now, is there any way we can use pressure of cleaning up those sites to, I mean, starting to do something here with holding back on doing something like that, or we have to, you know, the next part of the cleanup? Will we lose that money if we don't do it, or can we hold off on it and
So-
say, hey, look, Mark, we ain't
That's-
doing this until that gets done? We can't
Yep.
do that?
I can let you, that is gonna be your decision.
But we lose DEP money and get messed up with them, or we just?
I will tell you this, that Brownfields was devised to be a carrot model, not a stick model. From the state perspective and from the EPA perspective, these programs exist to make redevelopments happen.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't want to garner an opinion as to what you feel you should do with those funds. I work on your
I
behalf
say,
on this project.
for the funds?
Yeah.
The funds stay where they are.
Right.
Just don't release them until he's ready to start doing some work on it, you know? You gotta look at it, you gotta look at a Blue Side building, now we're gonna look at a hole in the ground and tapped over, whatever happens over there. It just, I'm looking for a way of squeezing him.
Let me tell you
I
when
don't
the,
know if that's the right way or not.
so lot 133, the parking lot project,
Yeah.
that is the older of the two grants.
Right.
That money would expire September 30th of next year if
So that
it's
has to
not
be done,
spent.
we lose the money then.
The Blue Sort building is younger, and so it would be 2 years from September 30th, but when that money would expire. So, the plan as devised is this concept. Lot 133 is a parking lot, and it's proposed, you could, like we did over here on the primary lots, is you can take contaminated soil and put it under a DEP-approved cover system. So in this case, there's some contaminated soils on lot 133. Similar in some respects to what we found over here, although I would surmise that there's this is the more grossly contaminated of the three
133 is
sites.
the Blue Side, right?
No, I'm talking about lot 133, the parking lot
All
now.
right, so that-
I'll get to the Blue Sort and what we're
so
gonna
the-
do
so the-
there in a
So
second.
the parking lot's contaminated like this, huh?
So they're a PAH, what we call polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons.
yeah.
Basically, when you take something, byproducts of incomplete combustion are these PAHs, the big molecules, and we see those there. We also see some lead contamination. There's some other things that we're concerned about that as we move forward, that we're going to characterize the soil. I just had a meeting with Rick last week. We're talking about devising an idea. So we want to push all the contaminated soil underneath because that property could use some more grade. We could raise the grade there, and we can put the contaminated soil where it goes from the margins, reclaim the parking lot currently, put it under put all the contaminated soil under a parking lot. In addition, what we'd like to do is attempt to make a clean lot out of 130, the Blue Sort building. There's not a lot of contamination there too, but there's not a lot of study that's gone on in the past there either. So we would do some more characterization, particularly of the building materials there, understand them. There's been a little bit of work, but not a lot. We need to understand those building materials and make sure that there's no contaminated building materials either in the steel itself or in the paint or and whether there's any insulation there remaining. There's some spray-on stuff that's been tested, I think, with one sample in the past. We'd probably do a little bit more of that in the building materials. We'd also look at the concrete slabs and make sure that they don't contain any
So that,
stuff.
that building we could actually sell. If we wanted to sell that building and have someone come in and take the sheeting off it and the steel, could that be done?
You are one smart man, because I was just getting to that.
Okay, all right.
So what I think needs to happen is, as a part of the bidding process, we need to encourage, the building needs to come down, because we're concerned about the slabs underneath.
that's
We want to
awesome,
know what's
great.
under the slabs.
Right.
Right? But if a bidder comes in and one of the things that they use to do it more inexpensively is to reuse that building, to take it down and reuse it someplace else,
Not bolts.
or recycle the steel, I think we're going to be better off for it, because it'll give us, as a town, we'll get a lower cost for what we need to do.
That, or we could sell the building too.
We could, yeah, I think you
Put
would,
it up and have a guy take it down.
yeah, but I think ultimately, when you look at the value of it, what it will help do is it'll help fuel or fund the rest of the cleanup work that needs to come. The slabs need to be taken up and ground up there. We need to do some test pits and assess underneath that slabs to make sure that we don't have the same kind of contaminants that we had over here. We're mostly concerned about if that will, and I know Selectman England, you might not like this, but proposed over there currently in the plan is some residential over there. in the
And
form
that's
of
what he
comp.
wants to start first.
So we want to understand if there are contaminants under that might impact the future use of that, specifically volatile organic compounds. There's something that's going to get into the indoor
Yeah, we
air
don't want
of not only that, what goes there, but there are also residents around there. So we need to understand that, and I think it would be prudent to assess that to make sure that as a part of the additional care, we call it additional characterization when we're in cleanup. It's not really assessment. We're characterizing to do the cleanup is what we'll be doing. So if we've got significant amount of contaminated soil over there and the grades work out, it would be nice to take the contaminated soil, if we characterize it in accordance with what DEP would like to see, we do the proper characterization, make sure they can go under a cover system. We'll take it, put it underneath that cover system, and finish it off with about 100 by 100
So
parking
when
lot.
he puts his 2 apartment buildings in there, he has to put in, okay, we got this, he's gonna have to remove the soil that we put in, right?
No, we're gonna put it under the parking lot that he's gonna use in the future.
Oh, that's good, we take care of, we're gonna pave over it?
We're gonna pave over. We'll give him
Oh,
we'll
great.
give him a sub base, and we'll give him a grade. And I know you're gonna have concern about it. Let me add this one piece. If it's closer to him doing something, if we get it closer to him, and it allows him to be one step closer to that, I think, in my opinion, it's worth doing, because if it's a financial thing, and it helps him, then ultimately we get something too, because we get the redevelopment that we want.
We just don't want the apartments, that many. We're
No.
gonna accept from, but.
You have the power of the planning board.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
So that, in a nutshell, that's kind of what we want to do, and that's what the draft plan is all about. The other piece you probably want to hear about is, Rick, can we do this with all the costs that we have? And so the analysis of brownfields cleanup alternatives looks at one of the metrics we look at is, for what are the costs? How do the costs compare with taking out all that contaminated soil, hauling it away, and disposing of it? Well, I can tell you for both sites, it's over $3 million if you wanted to haul out, just using some rough estimate for contaminated soil.
Yeah, where's it go?
It would go to turnkey, or we get managed.
Take it to another
That's
site.
the worst thing you can do, is
Yeah,
take
yeah.
it and put it someplace else. Dealing with in place, I think, is
yeah.
there's a benefit to doing that, because you're not having that enormous carbon
And we don't
footprint
have
by
any-
hauling it.
There's nothing that will leach into the river anymore, right?
Well, we have a concern about the river too, and part of our plan, we've accounted for doing some sediment sampling to understand what the condition of that, because it's never been looked at. And we heard, as a part of meeting with Ben and looking at the site, we heard that there was, like way back in the day, up by the insurance company, there was another tannery.
Right, the original tannery.
Yeah, and so that, they said they used to play in the stream, and the stream was all different colors depending on what they were
The
dying.
whole river was.
Yeah.
I've lived
So
on the same-
we want to look at
The whole
this
river's been
river,
Nothing
'cause-
but red and yellow and green
right.
till they straightened it out. It was bad.
So we want to look at this river, because if we're going to put a parking lot here, and it would be a little ironic if we put the parking lot here and we took all the contaminated soil and put it under here and protected everybody, but we didn't look at this river. So we feel it's prudent at this point
That's the
to
stream.
do some, that's that
the
unnamed
stream.
stream, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought about talking about Salmon Falls.
Yeah, so this is
Okay.
where it goes underneath to the main
To the main
property,
parking
goes
lot,
to the
yeah.
culvert. Yeah. So I was answering the thing about my own
Right.
question about cost. And so basically, the way it looks currently is we can do the things that I've just talked about with the grant funds that we have.
Okay.
Unless there's more contaminated soil, I mean, there's some things that could happen. But we used Southern Maine Planning and Development in the past to get supplemental funding. We made successful arguments to them because we found a tank over here, and we had some more slabs that needed to come up. So
Where's,
we'll do the same thing.
I hate to ask you this, but where's the road to the police station off? That's Wilson Street, right there.
Right here.
They go in there.
Yep.
Okay. Where's the wettest spot in there?
So if you can see this hatching, I don't know if you may not be able
I can
to
see the light hatching.
This hatching is all wetlands. So we mapped the wetlands here. We had our
So if
wetland
we were,
specialist go out and
if
map
we
it.
built the fire station there,
Yeah.
is it gonna be a big hassle to get approval to put a exit road from the fire station? or
If
something?
you wanted
would
to
be
work
D-
with Mark and put an exit road
That's a
through here,
DEP thing.
right, you'd have to work with DEP, and you could certainly mitigate if you wanted to go across there. I mean, it's not an impossibility.
It's gonna cost.
It's just gonna cost.
Yes.
You can do some mitigation, so can you swap that with creating a wetland of equal size some other
They
place?
still
That's
have
one of the
wetland
things to
banks?
do.
Wetland banks?
Yeah.
Never been in that program, so I can't really
Was one at the airport, right?
There's one at, yeah, Grondin's old pit over by, towards Yarmouth there, yep.
Yep. Yep.
We did some work there. But they used to.
Perfect guy
it
to
was
do
wetlands
this.
bank, so in other words, you're gonna, you buy it. Or
Right.
whatever you do, there was a thing to it,
Yeah, you
it,
buy credits in the
buy
bank
credits, and
as
you don't have to
mitigation.
rebuild the wetlands.
Yep. I was sort of done with my, what I had called an informal,
Thank you.
formal presentation.
Yep.
If anybody has other questions.
Any further
So we're
questions?
gonna be open, the one thing I'll add is we're gonna be open for public comment until the 26th. So we can, you can, you know, through the town manager or through Patty or James Bellissimo, you can contact me via email if you have other questions. We'll be happy to respond to any public questions that we get in a public setting. We'll, you know, respond to all, and we'll list something in the town hall if we have specific questions from the public that we have to answer. We're happy to answer. As you can see, that's what I like to do.
Yeah, you're a good man, thank you. Appreciate it.
Any further questions, comments?
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
Sure.
Brings us to unfinished business. We have none. Town managers report.
I handed out to you the Maine Municipal's issues paper. This is the topics that the LPC, Legislative Policy Committee, works on, just for awareness. And if you have any feedback, Harry Ellsworth is our representative from South Berwick, who sits on that committee. Anything, questions or comments you want to make, you can either run them to me and I'll send them to him, or you can go to him directly. I have his email. Some good points, and they're really hoping, whoever the new governor is, that they have a much better working relationship than they've had with the current one.
You can count on it.
You know, like anything improvement. Just so everybody in the public knows, we received grant money from the Maine DOT and also from our CATS program for a traffic study that will all be done down here. We had our kickoff meeting last Monday. Mark Cahaya was here for that, unannounced, 10 minutes before probably. I thought it was a very good meeting, and they had 3 engineers here, we spent quite a bit of time, 2 hours or more, just talking about it, and we'll be coming back again in October, and we'll have a meeting with some of the business people in the surrounding area that will be impacted by it. Also, our police and fire chiefs will be there to give input on what they see. We have an election coming up, and you'll be talking about that later. We have interviewed 3 people for code enforcement. 2 of them are qualified. I'm very encouraged by the 2 that we have. We're preparing to make an offer, not this week, but next week, when Maureen gets back. A little bit more money needs to be looked at and what we have for funding in order to pay them, but I'm encouraged. We have interviews set up to fill our public works position. We've already interviewed several, and we got 2 more this week and 1 next week.
That's a mechanic, right?
Mechanic and laborer, truck driver.
You
They
lost
just-
someone?
Huh?
Who you lose?
We lost Jeremiah.
Oh, he was both a labor, truck driver.
Yeah, truck driver and
mechanic?
mechanic. We don't have a individual mechanic on it. And just so the public is aware, we've been working with the MDOT on the Route 4. We had a really good first meeting, and we've been getting feedback back and forth about what their thoughts are about things that we were asking about. We have a meeting planned for September 17th. They will be doing,
What time?
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, yes, 1 o'clock.
September 17th?
September 17th at 1 o'clock, here at the town office. They have, in writing, told us that they will be putting the strip in the middle of the road before the end of the year. They've made some
Yeah,
recommendations.
you know why?
Huh?
You know why?
Why?
I happened to catch them after the meeting you guys had, I wasn't here. They were parked across the street from my office in that van. We had a good chat.
Yeah, well, they must have heard. I don't think you were talking to the people that were at that meeting, were you?
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't know. Doesn't make any difference.
I won't run over the edge on them.
They will be putting in the
Rumble strips,
You
yeah.
said
the rumble strips. They have some temporary signage that we're going to use, and the police will put them in temporary areas, for periods of time with there's a message board. And we also have permanent signs that they're going to put in on both sides to warn people that they're coming into an area where there's turning, and it's a start. So I think we got their attention, which is what we wanted, and it's not over yet, so,
So you know what their reasoning is for the turning lanes? Were you there?
yeah.
For not putting the turning lanes in and
Oh,
bring the
they said-
white line in along the edge of the breakdown lane
Yeah.
to make, so
They said the
people
bore
can-
samples, they weren't sure that the material underneath the shoulders were,
They're missing 2 inches of hot top on it.
well, he told me that they got the boring samples, because the people who came here, the engineers, had not been part of that when it was done, I don't know how many years ago. But he got back to me and said that they did the boring samples, and the material underneath is fine. So what they need to do is take up some of the pavement where they want to put in the wider lane and put down either 2 inches or 3 inches of material.
Yeah, 3 inches or 4 inches
Yeah,
is what they need in there.
yeah.
The material is, other problem is when you do that, you also you get your gravel strip from the new edge of the hot top has to be wider too.
Yes.
But I just said for a temporary measure, to get it done sometime in the next 5 years. So,
I
that's
want-
what I think. I mean, it's gotta be,
He's looking at some fund called the safety fund to see
Yeah.
what it's gonna, if they have any money available. And it wouldn't be done, the earliest it could be done if they do anything would
Next
be next year. But I'll take that and run with it. If we can
he
get
had told
those-
me he had $300,000 to spend on that road, so that's probably gonna be the rumble strips,
Yeah.
right?
Unless-
They're not that expensive.
No, those aren't.
It's
So-
a start, it's a start.
Questions? So I'm encouraged by what's going on there, at least they're addressing it,
Absolutely.
and we'll get something done.
Is there any discussions of putting up signs, talk about turning your lights on for the whole distance? Have they talked about that as well? Is that one of the
Yeah.
options that they're looking?
Yeah, they did that over on Route, in Sanford and out in, Arundel, is it?
Oh, Route 11.
Route 11.
Oh,
Yeah, we did talk
111.
about that.
What they do on Route 11?
Route 111.
Route
Back
111.
years ago, between Biddeford and Alfred, when they were having all the,
I drive the road 5,000 times a day.
right,
I never knew
So,
that.
so
is they,
they've done a goddamn thing there.
well, years ago, they put on the headlights on for safety light
Well, they
signs
should
up.
be on anyway. I
Right.
mean, the state law, isn't it?
No,
No.
only when that windshield wipers.
My truck lights are on all the time.
Well, that's,
Depends
not
on
all
the year of
vehicles
your
have
car.
that though. Yeah.
Exactly. It
Because
depends on
you
the
have the
year.
ability to turn those off.
But the biggest thing down there is the drivers are not paying attention. There's too much cell phone going on,
Yep.
and they're not paying attention to what's happening. It's not road fault.
Right,
And it could be partially by not wanting them, but it's driver inattention.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what they told us.
Those
when
things will help increase awareness and
I mean, what do you
focus
gotta do
on what
there?
they need to do.
What are you gonna
Well, I
do?
mean, those are things you have
No,
to
I know,
do
you gotta
today.
do it, but what I'm saying is, these people, they're kids.
Right.
I know,
Some
but
of
think
them.
about how many of us, like when we drove to Manchester, we were on, what was it, 101? You always were a little bit more cautious because you knew, that road was, a
A
death
deadly
trap,
road.
Right, exactly. You saw the crosses
Yeah.
and stuff. So if you bring awareness to this,
And yet-
maybe people will handle it a little
Our
bit
police
differently.
And now
department
that
has got
school's
some
starting,
money,
So,
for
in Northborough.
distracted
you got
driver.
School coming in on.
and they've been
Right.
pulling people over. We've
Or
been spending
little bit
some
more
good
control.
time
So I'm coming
on
through.
doing that.
I'm coming through.
But
there.
it doesn't, people just need to
I
smarten
would
up.
stay at camp. I come back
Um,
from the paper shop, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Dispatch center, we have completely shifted over to Sanford. Everything has gone well. I haven't heard, I asked Chief last week and Chief today if they've had any issues, and they said, no, it's been working fine.
What's that? I
The
saw it.
dispatch center.
They've already taken over
Yeah,
for
they
us?
took over last week,
Yeah.
and it's been working fine, so we're encouraged. So,
It's costing us about how much more? 100,000 more a year?
not that much.
South Berwick was 100.
Probably 40 to 50,000 more.
South Berwick said they were 100.
70-something, weren't they?
We were paying 186 when I got here. It dropped it down to 168, and then it's,
And now we're gonna be down to what?
now we're up to about 220,000, somewhere in that ballpark.
And that's good for how long?
10 years. Well, it's gonna, you'll see cost, incremental increases, but
The
for cost-
10-year
10-year contract. And with the buyout, if we are disgruntled or we can get out of it.
220,000 a year, huh? Yep. Could be.
If the county took it over, you'd already be paying for it, but they don't. The county doesn't have their own dispatch center in this county, in York County.
Probably lucky.
Yeah, well, state of Maine doesn't need 26, that's for sure, so. Anyway, that's all I have. Any questions? Thank you.
I answered.
I have nothing under Selectmen's Communications. That brings us to accounts payable. We have a water warrant, 0908 for August 23rd, 2018, for the amount of $3,969.98. Account payable warrant, 1908 from August 23rd, 2018, for the amount of $38,016.19. Account payable warrant, 1909 for August 30th, 2018, for the amount of $814,780.82. We have a water warrant, 0909 for August 30th, 2018, for the amount of $80,409.12. And we have a payroll warrant, 1909 for August 30th, 2018, for the amount of $52,741.03. I make a motion that we pay our bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Thank you. New business. November 6th, 2018 Town Referendum Warrant, Board of Selectmen vote and acceptance. So we have,
You gonna go through every one of these again, Tom?
what's that?
I'm going through every one?
There's only 5, 6,
not like-
including the,
Take one of each, take, one of each of those.
these are the, White one. And then there's that one. Exhibit A and Exhibit B. We have 5 articles to discuss, pretty straightforward. And then Article number 6 is the advisory referendum as far as where to build the fire station. We'll go through and vote on the 5 articles, pass that, and then we'll discuss the 6th article.
It's really only 4, because Article 1 is just.
Right, well, elect a moderator. I guess we don't have to vote on that one. Is Article 2, shall the town vote to adopt amendments to land use ordinance regarding medical marijuana? Exhibit A. These are articles that the planning board has gone over and how they've trying to tighten up the definition and where things can go. Now they had already had their public hearings on this, I believe. And these are the ones they passed on to us. The medical marijuana amendments, 2 definition amendments are proposed to provide clarity on the terms and new performance standards. Also proposed is allow medical marijuana storefronts in the RCI district. So a lot of it is just changing, no retail use marijuana to recreational marijuana retail. And then we added a medical dispensary with a storefront in it.
How many?
Doesn't say. As many as the planning board
Approves?
approves, I guess. And what they did is they tightened up the restrictions about where they can go.
Yeah, they changed, now it's 9 and 4, right? From 236 and 9 and 4, wasn't it 236 before? 2? Yeah.
Yeah, I believe
They
so.
took 236 off there, Tom.
Says only on Medical marijuana cooperatives and medical marijuana production facilities are allowed in R3 zone only on properties which have frontage on Route 9 or 4. Then the performance standards, signage and advertising, all signage and advertising for any facility responsible for the cultivation, manufacturing, sale, or distribution of marijuana shall comply with all applicable provisions of the land use ordinance. Cultivation, if marijuana and/or products containing marijuana are sold on the same site, the cultivation area shall be no greater than 50% of the total floor area of the building. Under C is consumption pursuant to Maine LR 2395, section 1501, subsection 2. Marijuana in the town of Berwick may only be consumed in a private residence or on private property. Such private property shall not generally be accessible to the public, and the consumption of marijuana or marijuana products must be explicitly permitted by the property owner. All other consumption limitations in Maine LR 2395, subsection 1501, subsection 2, shall apply to the town of Berwick. In D, visibility of activities, all activities for dispensaries, cultivation facilities, processing facilities, and marijuana establishments shall be conducted indoors.
So that means we can have a hooch club, right? If we can, does that mean we can have a marijuana club?
So how is that possible? I mean, you know, you ban smoking inside of bars, but we're gonna allow a club where you can smoke?
No, we don't allow a club, do we? It sounded like we did.
That's what,
I think the state's,
Establishments shall be conducted indoors.
So we can serve beer and some pot. We'd line up, we'd have the guys lined up from here to Navy Yard.
No.
Forget about it. You can be healthy as soon as you drive down.
Is,
You could probably buy that house in the Hamptons for it if you wanted.
As far as allowing smoking, is I believe that you can have establishments for smoking tobacco products. Is they have cigar clubs and things
Cigar
like that.
clubs, yeah.
But, you know, so it'd be something similar, I
Similar
would
to that.
guess. But,
These are amendments to medical marijuana.
Yeah, it'd be
Not
good
rec-
because
not recreational,
we
correct.
could run the, those that run the water line up, Cemetery Road, run a little farther, set up a marijuana facility, try to get something set up there, Tom, next year.
we're still waiting on the state regulations to come, and they say by April. That's what
I mean, we
last time.
talked about this 2 years ago,
Yeah, we did.
you know, and now we got them, and how much is in the town now, we're not even knowing about, are we taxing them on it? Nothing.
But we're not taxing anybody, I'm just a.
We should be taxing them,
Well, we're taxing them for real estate, and we're taxing them for whatever they have for
equipment.
equipment.
right, but is the building inspector gone in there? We had a problem with him, is that all done now?
As far as I know,
In odor control,
yep,
That's
that's
been
taken
done?
care of.
yeah,
You
that
drive by Route 9, you don't smell it anymore.
I ain't been down there the right night, so,
is,
believe me.
I believe the one on Route 9 you're talking about is where he went through the appeals process on his
We
permit.
got the other building.
Well, but yeah, but he is, I believe what it was is they allowed him to use that building, but he had to follow the new ordinances as far as odor control. So,
Of the other building.
All the other buildings.
I believe so. I believe so.
That is what part of the agreement was.
So,
Well, it's state law.
yeah. All right, is, for Article 2, all those in favor of putting this on the warrant? 5-0.
So you all recommend a yes vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Much to my chagrin.
Article 3, shall the town vote to adopt the proposed amendments to the land use ordinance Exhibit B? This is Amendment 1 to the Village Overlay District, 4-to-1 ratio residential to non-residential. What has been changed is all residential uses in new buildings shall, and this is what it changed, not exceed a 4-to-1 ratio of residential to non-residential use as measured by constructed floor space. This statistic is tracked by the planning department and updated as new permits are issued. This ratio pertains to the 7.7 acre parcel formerly known as Prime Tanning and structures contained with frontage on Wilson Street, School Street, and Sullivan Street. Then Amendment 3 is the multiple manufactured homes, mobile homes on individual lots. That came about because there was a lot in town, actually, I guess there were 2 lots in town on Route 9 on School Street that they put 3 trailers in.
Yeah.
And, this is trying to tighten up that so that
How can they put 3 trailers in? Is it
They-
3-family home there or something?
No, they could, because they had the
Yeah.
square footage.
they had the square footage on the lot space. And now it is, it'll only be, something like that will only be allowed in a recognized mobile home lot.
Because you have 2 communities,
Right.
residentials that abut it.
Right. Amendment 4, farm animals defined and regulated through definition. Roosters not allowed in R1 district.
Where's that one?
That's downtown.
But I'll drop a couple off.
Yeah. Is, then animal farm, any parcel of land that contains at least the following land area used for the keeping of horses, mules, cows, goats, sheep, hogs, and similar sized animals for the domestic use of its residents of the lot, provided that adequate land area is provided for each animal unit, excluding water bodies of 1/4 acre surface area or larger. So cattle is 1 bovine animal unit, 1 cow per acre of cleared hay pasture land.
Where is this?
A horse is 1.5 animal units per acre of cleared hay or pasture land. Sheep, 3 animal units per acre of cleared hay or pasture land. Swine, 2 animal units per acre of cleared land, and roosters are not allowed in the R1 district. Other animal farms, the required lot size shall be determined by municipal officer charged with enforcement and shall conform to the lot size for similar sized animals. This came about because is in the downtown district, we have a person raising 4 or 5 pigs, and it become a problem with the neighbors, and this is to take care of that and regulate that area.
Tom, what is R1 zone? Which one is that?
R1 is basically the downtown district and anything served with water and sewer, I believe.
Municipal. And what about R2?
There's a map right up there.
Right there, Mark.
Oh, yeah, I'll look at it after. Okay, thanks.
So, and then Amendment 5, larger buildings require conditional use regardless of use. Non-residential buildings greater than 5,000 square feet. And that is the change in the where they're permitted is they are conditional in most areas, meaning that it would be up to the planning board to determine if they were allowed or not. And then Amendment 6 is odor control. No use may, as a result of normal operation, regularly emit odors that are offensive or harmful by reason of their character, intensity, or duration, and that are perceptible beyond the lot line. No odor may be considered offensive if it is commonly associated by way of character, intensity, or duration with a permitted use in the zoning district in which it is located. Odors commonly associated with a permitted use may not be perceptible beyond the zoning district boundary unless the use is permitted in an adjacent zoning district. So those are the changes for Exhibit B. So shall the town vote to adopt the proposed amendments of the land use ordinance? All those in favor of allowing it on the ballot? Opposed is nothing. 5-0. Article 4. Shall the town vote to designate any town-owned property a safe zone as described in Title 17A, subsection 1101, and Title 30A, section 3253? No.
Exhibit C is just a more lengthy
Thing
word
than
than the note.
the note
so
is,
the
yeah.
note sums it up.
Right. the note. Title 17A, subsection 1101 reads, "Safe zones means an athletic field, park, playground, or recreational facility that is designated as a safe zone by a municipality pursuant to Title 30A's Section 3253. A municipality may designate an area of the municipality that is frequented by minors as a safe zone under Title 17A. A safe zone designated pursuant to this section must be conspicuously marked by the municipality with an informational sign using wording provided by the Commissioner of Public Safety. Drug crimes committed within 1,000 feet of a safe zone have increased penalties under 17A MRSA Chapter 45.
So, does that mean they put them around schools,
Schools, around,
playgrounds,
Playground,
parks, any
park.
place the kids will be?
right,
right here.
yeah. that's-
Right, but I mean,
Yeah, this
Doesn't
is,
say
this was
school.
brought forward by the
They already have it.
chief, I believe, as,
Yep.
gives us just another, tool for us to use when we're going after the
we
drug
should do it.
dealers,
Yeah, we should do it.
everything. So, all right, those in favor of Article 4? 5-0 again. Article 5. To see if the town will vote, 1, to approve the design, construction, and improvement of a new fire station and the design, construction, and improvements for a police department building renovation, including all other reasonable costs related thereto, together the project. 2, appropriate a sum not to exceed $6 million for the cost of the project. 3, to fund this appropriation, authorize the Board of Selectmen to issue at one time or from time to time general obligation securities of the town of Berwick, Maine, including temporary notes in anticipation of the sale thereof and refunding obligations in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $6 million. So that goes on with a financial statement, as we have $1.125 million in bonds outstanding. If we add to that, that'll bring a total of $17.125 million in bonds.
7.
Sorry about that. 7.125. An estimated interest rate of 3.75%. The estimated cost of the bond will be 20 years. Of interest would be $2,742,594 for a total investment of $8,742,564. The validity of the bond or the voters' ratification of the bond may not be affected by any errors in the above estimate. If the actual amount of the total debt service for the bond issue varies from the estimate, the ratification by the electors is nevertheless conclusive, and the validity of the bond issue is not affected by reason of the variance. So this is just saying that, we will approve the $6 million to build the fire station and the improvements of the police department. And next thing would be where we build it. So,
No, the next thing is to get the price of the police station down a couple $1 million. That we have to figure out, because it's too much money. I'm hearing too much from people that the 6 million is too much money. And, what we see is what they're telling us, right? That price we have hasn't been updated in a year, at $290 a square foot. And we're gonna save some money on it. It's gonna be something cut out of there. Because I'm not gonna, people are bitching. And, I'm just letting you know.
Yep.
So, I think it's important that we listen to what they say about the money, because, we can always, if we build it for 4 million, we give the dump 2 million back on it, right?
Right.
We're not gonna go anywhere else with it.
You bond 6 million, and to start the whole final design
Explain it to
process-
them.
Excuse me?
Explain it to the town, Steve, so they
You'll-
understand.
You'll borrow a total of $6 million.
Right.
That's the maximum we can borrow. If we bring the whole project in for, just giving you an example, for 5 million. We have borrowed 6 million, but we bring the project in for 5. We can use that extra million to pay down
The note.
the note. So, over a period of time. So, the key is when we do the final design, is to be realistic about what our needs are
Right.
and make sure that we have enough space for the next 50 years or more to accommodate what we're looking to build for a fire station, which is enough room for full-time staff to be there 24/7 and enough room for us to have enough of our truck space and additional space to go with that.
No,
I
I'm hearing
don't-
the same thing, it's a lot of money, and that's what everybody's saying, and when looking at the proposal, it's great. I mean, it's a beautiful fire station, we need a fire
Yeah,
station,
but not that thing.
but we don't need,
I can't,
all
I
the
can't in my
bells
right
and
mind agree
whistles.
with it.
I think
because
that there's
I'm
a lot
hearing
of
too much
office.
backlash.
There's a lot of office space. I mean, when we look at the square footage, and when you were saying the 290, you know, it's the needs and wants. And
That
I think that's
290 is
what
a
we need
year
to get
old.
to. Right, but I think we need to get down to, you know, what are the needs, what are the wants? Right now, where we positioned, what do we need to sustain now, but what do we see for growth in, you know, X amount of years? I saw a lot of, you know, well, in the event that we have this happen, or we have this happen, that's great, but does that suit, you know, the budget now? I think we need to look at expansion, location's key, but I do agree with Mark, I have a lot of people saying the same thing. But we know, I think anybody that's toured it realizes that we need a new fire station.
Well, I think the cost per square footage, we started off around 270, and he bumped it up to 290, because that's what he was being told by the contractors, Landry and French.
A year ago.
No,
That's recent.
this summer,
That's recent, so we
Right.
bumped that up $20 a square foot?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
yeah.
So it seems, I'm not in the building industry. I know people who are. That's the going cost. They've been doing other stations. They did one in Cumberland, and it came in around 270 a square foot. So I think when we do this, the final design is going to be the final design. And we have to decide, as a town and as a committee, what we need. We started off at 20,000 square feet. I think we're down to under 17,000 square feet. We may need less, I don't know. But I think we need to be realistic in the layout and what our needs are.
Well, I think between the school, what everybody's experienced this year, and now this on top of it, we need to kind of probably, you know, make sure we're as lean as possible.
And I think there's truth to that, but I think at the same time, I'm not a fire station expert or public safety expert. I'm not the one that's going to say, you know, this is the minimum amount of space that we need in order to perform what we need to perform. So obviously the public safety officials need to be involved in that process to make a
And they are.
determination on how much they can cut. Obviously the baseline is we need a new fire station, period. There's just no doubt about that. I believe I heard Chief Towns say, you know what, we're fine with what we got right now. If we need a fire station, do the fire station. He would rather that happen and not worry about the or police station at the moment, because he needs a fire station.
Right,
So
I
if
would
we
say,
need-
so if we didn't bother him, what's that, 400,000 or 250, something
No,
like that?
200 and something.
277,000.
Right, so that's 300 grand we save by not helping the police station out.
But I think, that committee needs to have fire, police, everybody involved in it
Yep.
in order to make a determination on how much we can cut and what we can actually build that would sustain us with the potential to build on later on,
Expand.
perhaps.
Right.
Chief Town has said that the 277,000 that they put on his renovation work, he feels it's way too high.
Sure.
He does not feel that
Who put that on there?
the architect.
Yeah.
And Landry and French, again, they use them to break out the costs. So I think to renovate the Doran School and the things like that we needed over there, I cannot, for the life of me, think it's gonna cost that much money. But I think think when we put it out to bid, if we get approved for this, you'll have a better sense of what the market will bear. But if you gotta go in with.
So it won't go out to bid till after vote.
Right.
Yeah, we can't do
Right.
anything until the voters approve
Yeah.
us to get the funding and to move forward with the
Right.
design and construction.
So you're probably not starting till spring.
Right.
Yeah, we would go to this, if it gets approved, we would go to the Spring Bond Bank, which we'd have to have the application in by February, I think it's the date, early February. Once it gets approval, the bonds wouldn't be issued, or we wouldn't get the money until May, so we wouldn't break ground until probably June. And it's probably a good year project anyway, year and a half, so maybe
We
less.
could do a 146 room hotel in 10 months. This has got a lot of beds in it.
And I wanna,
I see one going up on Westbrook, it's not going up in that fast.
Which
It-
one?
One that PM's doing,
That's his-
right in Westbrook, so.
is, you know, and we had our public hearing our last meeting, and, you know, the 40 or 50 people here, is not one of them talked about the cost of it. It was all about the location. You know, everybody here agreed that we needed a new fire station. You know, and it was just a matter of where we were gonna put it was the big contention.
Well, now the cost has come out.
Right,
um,
I think it's, yeah, it's a
is,
twofold.
Well, those people at the time, they heard the cost, and, you know, they, you know, yeah.
It doesn't
They
matter.
questioned it, though. They
There's
did. They
still
questioned it.
4,500
Right.
voters here or something,
Right.
Tom.
Right.
Whatever there are, they still are asking questions. Doesn't matter where you're 50 here, but there might be 150. Why they don't show up here and tell us is beyond me. They should come in
Oh,
here and talk
I-
about it.
I heard about that,
Why?
because we had a mess up in the mailing,
Right.
that it didn't go to the post office box.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, I heard a lot about that. And I'm still hearing about that, so.
No, but I
Well-
think, Ed, you brought up a good point, is, you know, we're sitting here as well as the town, and we gotta leave it to the subject, you know, matter experts, and let them kinda tell us what do we need, and present it that way, so.
I mean, they've seen the structure, they've
Right.
seen a presentation from the architect.
Not good
Obvious-
enough.
Well, it's not. I think we're having another public hearing.
Yeah, we're gonna do another public hearing in October, just before the vote, so the public
And
is
we
fresh
gotta
in
get
their
some good
mind.
working drawings, so we gotta get busy getting that cut down to a price, cut some stuff out of there, right?
We need to make sure that that is done appropriately this time as
Know
well.
what I mean? I mean, we have to hone down these prices and hone down what we want fire station. So when they come in for a meeting, we say, yeah, it's gonna cost 44.5 million or whatever. But we have to be able to know that, Steve.
We won't know that until we go out to bid. Unless Landry and French can sharpen their pencil and tell us where the costs are, but we haven't even got a final design yet.
Yeah, but, right, because we haven't given them anything to do a final design.
We haven't paid them, we're not paying them until we get approval.
Right.
You know, we appropriated money for the preliminary design.
We are not the people to make that determination on
Right.
what design needs to happen. I know, you know, they need to decide what they need as public
What's-
safety officials.
I think what you saw is what they decided, what we saw in the prints.
I think that was the first
That's
draft.
not a final.
That was the
that's
first
not
one.
a-
I think
that's
that was
just a
kind of
first
like the
throw out.
preliminary.
So now we gotta
Based
wait
on
and pay
square
them more money
footage,
to get another draft done, is that what I'm
You're
hearing?
gonna-
No, not the
they'll
draft.
modify it.
The
They'll
blueprints,
modify that.
the final documents that will go out to bidders. That's what that's for.
I think it's difficult to make any type of determination or decision on anything like this when we're not the experts.
No one's, that's why we need an expert in here
Well,
telling
that's-
us that. The
and that's-
architect's not an expert.
Well,
He
exactly.
draws pretty pictures.
Sure.
No,
So we
he's
need
built
someone
many
telling us the
fire
numbers.
stations. He's built many
That works
fire
for us.
So basically what we're doing now is just securing this so that we can put it out there and say, we're hoping it comes in less than that, but we're putting it on the table for this
6
article.
We're-
That,
we're-
worst
what-
case scenario,
We're asking the voters for $6 million maximum.
right.
We will not get any more, we won't bond any more than 6 million.
So I think if you're looking at it that way, kind of look at it, that's your
So-
cap, that's your cap, that's your
Right, but
ceiling.
I'm hearing 3 and 4 million
Well, we're
Well,
for
hoping.
people. That's what I'm hearing. And
And I think that that's what, like to Ed's point, they need to come in, reevaluate what was presented,
then
and
work
give
go
us
from
kind
there.
of, exactly,
Are we
then
gonna
it
make it
still
out- Are we
has
gonna
to
make
go
it
out
out
to
of
bid.
brick? We're gonna make it out of hardy plank. We're
Well-
gonna make it out of this, we're gonna make it out of that,
But
right?
then it still
All
has
that
to go
makes
out
a
to
big
bid,
difference.
Mark.
Right.
So
What?
there's two pieces of it. there's the, okay, let's get us down to the bare minimum to what we need, based upon what their, recommendations are, but then Steve said it also has to go out to bid. So there's two parts to it. We're looking
Right,
at it,
right, right.
6 million's our worst case scenario.
Right.
I think that's how we need to look at it, versus it being, that's the number. That's not the number. That's just our ceiling cap. We're like, yep, that's what we're gonna cap it at. That's all.
Any further discussion?
I will say, Tom, that looking at the presentation, looking at this number, I know 6 million is a lot. I know what they presented us as a preliminary drawing is kind of pie in the sky. That's really would be nice to have that.
Right.
We may be able to get it lower, but like you said, we have to have a fire station.
Right.
Whether we put it at Estabrook, whether we put it down on Cemetery Road, we need a new fire station because we can't survive on this. I just don't want to get to the point where we cut off so much in the final drawing that we say, okay, we're good, and 10 years down the road, we're looking for another expansion because the way the town's growing.
Right.
No,
So,
good point.
How many building permits are pulled this year?
Well, the valuation growth that we experienced this year was over $21 million in value.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 million of that additional funding was from CMP's work.
Yeah.
So you have 16 million that you grew in just building growth.
Now, does that mean appreciation of houses that are existing, or is that new houses that have been built?
Well, I haven't seen renovations at that high. For my thought process, that's housing.
$16
$16 million
worth of houses.
in housing.
Jeez, I can't figure out where that's gonna go, where they are.
And if that continues to be the trend, I did see apartment houses going up, because you got 2 down there on Cemetery Road that went up, that were part of the valuation growth. But you had a lot of single-family homes go up. If you ride around the area, go down Sanborn, Old Sanford Road. There's a lot of new houses down there. Go up Diamond Hill Road. There's new houses that have been built in that area. So you have a lot of new housing being built, and obviously they're not small. So if we continue along that line, we're going to have a lot of value, which can be a good thing,
But not when it comes to the school
but not when
budget.
it comes to school.
yeah.
And our school budget went up almost 6% this year. We looked at it, the tax commitment.
Right.
Ours barely went up 1%. So, I don't know what to tell you. But you need a fire station. Everybody
Definitely.
knows that.
Yeah, we
Doubt
do.
about it.
So is Article 5 is, Board of Selectmen, recommends a yes vote. All those in favor? 5-0. Now, then, Article 6 is, one is a binding one, and I have two different versions here. One is binding, one is non-binding. And one I have that is listed as binding, Article 6. If Article 5 funding is approved by the voters of the town of Berwick, should the town build a new fire station on the property that consists of 6 acres located on Cemetery Road, Berwick, Maine, or the property known as Estabrook School, 20 Wilson Street, Berwick, Maine?
And how many acres is that?
Probably 3 or 4. the
3 or
most.
4 available, probably.
So no one knows. So we're putting 6 acres for cemetery, well, we're gonna balance it out with the right amount of acreage on the Estabrook School site.
Well, I think the difference, Mark, is the fact that we have to purchase the Cemetery Road site.
Right, so if they look at the cemetery site, say 6 acres for 80 grand, and then we got whatever, 2 or 3 over to Estabrook, what I hear, then that might not be enough room.
Well, the
Does that mean with the Estabrook School down?
yes.
This means tearing the Estabrook School down.
Right, which is what I hear they want. But what I'm saying is it doesn't have any, so you gotta say, it just seems to me 3 or 4 acres. Well, the acreage should be in there, the same as the other part.
Gotta be consistent.
It's gotta be consistent.
We do. It should be stated in there, what the acreage
It's like
is.
you're saying, well, we got 6 acres down here, up here, and then we got the Esbrook School too. That's not
Apples
right.
to apples, so.
I can't give you an exact acreage unless I have it surveyed, because the whole parcel is listed as 11 acres where the Bateman School is, then where the Estabrook School is, and the
Well, then you
Norton.
have him go over there with a tape wheel, you tape out behind, the tape wheel on one side of it, run it down the other, do your math and figure it out. What's his name, the guy from the Public Works? I mean, I got a wheel in my truck, I'll lend him. That's all you gotta do, just to come up with some acreage. I just feel like it should be the same, that's all.
It should be presented.
Whatever you wanna do, guys, I just think it should be the same. It seems like we're pushing Cranberry Meadow Road over, in my mind, over that. I don't think we should do that. Has to be consistent. Sorry being a pain in the
Well,
rock.
no, you have two options, to build it over on Estabrook, and we've been told by the architect there's enough room there, but we gotta tear down the Estabrook School,
Right, but there's no acreage.
but we don't have the acreage.
Right.
But to put that building, they say there's room, and we'd have to do mitigation, we've discussed that.
Yeah, I know that.
Or the 6 acres, they originally, when we started looking at property, we were looking for 5 acres.
Right.
You know, and now, then we got this parcel for 6 acres, and we were thinking that we could actually move the police station down the road years from now, so there'd be enough room for growth.
Yeah, well, that didn't fly.
Well, that's up to you guys, what they want.
So do we have to take a vote right now on which one? Do we
No,
have to
we don't
vote
have
on
to
that?
vote either way in either one.
Okay, I didn't know if we did or not.
Yes, you have to make your recommendations.
For
That's what I
Cemetery
thought.
Road or
Either
the
you
other
want
one?
Either you recommend Cemetery Road or you recommend Estabrook School.
Or we do the non-binding
There's,
one.
there's 2 things here. Let me explain this. You have 2 different warrants to choose from. One is Article 6 would be a non-binding, it would just be a straw poll. So you get an idea from the public where they think the station should go.
Yeah.
Or you can have it a binding referendum question. So when the public decides where they want the building, that's it.
That's what it should be.
Well, if you have.
Public decides where it should, we could make a recommendation, but the public decides where it's gonna go, is where it should go. They're the ones that are paying the bill,
Right. I
right?
think
Am I wrong?
I agree.
Tell me if I'm wrong, I don't mind. I just wanna
You're asking
understand
the
it.
public, this is just the town manager's
Yeah,
perspective.
go ahead, tell me.
You're asking the public to make an informed decision, and they don't have all the information that you have.
But they're paying for it.
That's the way government works.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, that was the reason why we put it out here, was because there was such a concern with cemetery versus
That's why we
Estabrook.
have the 2 votes.
That's why we have
So
it there.
that's, if you wanna know, these are the options you have, Mark. You can ask the non-binding question, and they will tell you the same thing. But you won't have, then you can make the decision as a board of selectmen where it goes,
So it's non-binding.
if it's non-binding. If it's binding, and this is from our attorney, if it's binding and it's a tie, then we have to go back and do it all over again, which includes the bond question. Or if we have a problem with the site, say we decide to go to the Esbrook School, but there's a problem we have with the site, whether, just giving you an example, like we were gonna tear down the Estabrook School, and if that's all ledge and we can't fit it on that site because it's all ledge, we don't know what's under the ground
You
there.
blast it.
And that costs money, so that adds to the cost.
Yeah,
So
we
that
get the
we
same
couldn't-
amount,
I'm
put the
just-
water line in
right.
a cemetery.
Just
road.
using this as an
Right.
example. Or we choose a cemetery site and we find some kind of hazardous material there.
All ledge.
But if it's binding, you have to go back out to the public
All right,
all
so we'll
over
make it
again.
non-binding, yeah. I see what
If it's
you're saying.
non-binding, you as the board get to make the decision based on what the public gives you and possible other issues we may have with the property. That's the advice from our attorney. She thinks it should be non-binding.
Okay.
If you want it binding, then.
No, I think what you're saying, non-binding, I understand. That's fine with me.
So if we're making the final decision, should I recuse myself because I'm on Hubbard Road?
You'll what?
I'm on Hubbard Road, and that's the furthest point from this, and Tom's on Cemetery Road.
And I don't want it.
No, that doesn't,
I'm just asking the question.
why you
so
putting
you
it
that
don't have
there's-
to,
I'd-
I'm just saying,
not
if we're
putting it
making that
there.
final
You're voting for it.
decision, I don't want there to be a perception,
no.
okay? Because I just,
You're gonna base it on what the public tells you,
Yeah, whatever the
hopefully.
public votes unanimously for the most is where I'm voting for.
that's where I'm voting.
That's it.
That's where I'm voting. So
So
I
it
just
doesn't
want,
need to be binding.
I
It
just
can
have
be
concerns with that
non-binding.
because we have opposite ends of the spectrum here, and I'm gonna vote the way that the town votes. So why are we even going to this binding, non-binding? Because if we're all gonna do majority of what the town votes, then why isn't it gonna be binding?
Because we run a problem at one site, and we have to move it to another site. So
Then
if
we
it's-
can reverse it.
we
I'm
can-
with you.
right,
All
okay.
right.
And
Never
if,
mind.
and if we make it binding, the way I understand what you explained, Steve, is that we have to vote where we think it should go now to put it as a binding.
Right. we're not
I
Well,
didn't
you
think-
have to make the recommendation
Right.
now where you think it should go.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
for a binding.
If it's non-binding,
We don't have to.
you don't have to.
Don't
make
have
it.
to.
Perfect.
We let the town
That's
decide.
not
Let the town
binding.
decide. What?
I agree.
That's right.
Nope,
So
I
we're
think
gonna
it's up
be-
to them.
So,
As far as I'm concerned, the town is gonna vote on where they want it and how much they wanna spend, and that's it.
Yep,
so is the Article 6 is, the two different sites do a non-binding
Yep,
Yes.
referendum on it.
right.
That the consensus?
yes. Their vote.
You can make
All
a
right.
motion.
All right, so Article 6 is for a non-binding opinion poll. Is all those in favor? 5-0. Non-binding. Oop, that was the wrong one.
Excuse me, are you reading the article as is? You mentioned about the acreage. The article was written by a lawyer. So that's where this wording came from.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was because we don't know the acreage of that portion of the parcel.
Yeah.
Why there's
I
no
don't
acreage
see
difference.
where that, such a huge thing, people know where the Estabrook parcel is, they
We'd
know
have
what
to call
size
a
it is.
special meeting
is,
tomorrow for you guys to sign the new article, because I need it.
Yeah. So, but no, I say we leave it as is. Yeah, like we said, we'll be having another public hearing, we'll be getting this out on BCTV, and make sure people are well informed, so,
So we sign this tonight?
yes. That brings us to our next order, is the Board of Selectmen's Rules and Regulations revisions.
I'll just put up just a few very minor changes. On page 1, under board meetings, I changed a regular session on the first and third Tuesday of the month to the second and fourth Tuesday of the month, per your vote last meeting. Second page, under order of business, I updated the agenda to read as we now hold the agenda. The number 7, filing with the clerk, changed. Info will be taken until noon on that day to 11 a.m. since we close at 11 on Friday. And nothing will appear on the agenda after the time I changed to that time. And that's it.
I would move I wasn't here for the vote, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
No, because we're doing it now. so-
Yeah, so I move that we accept the amendments to the Berwick Board of Selectmen Rules and Regulations as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? And Patty?
And, next item, I am requesting to close customer service office on November 6th so that I can use the full staff at the election.
Tom, for this item, I'd like to recuse myself from discussion,
Okay.
just because my wife works as customer service, so.
And she'll still be working.
Still be working, but I don't want
Yeah.
to get involved in any discussion that can,
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely.
So,
I have no problem with that.
No,
is, we have a motion?
So moved.
second,
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Great, thank
Four
you.
and
I
one
hope for a
recusal.
good turnout.
Is, we also, under new business, we also have a pole permit request for Old Pine Hill Road. It's where the new,
Fire station's going in?
no, where the, I believe this is where the new, apartment houses are on
Up
Old
by
Pine
you?
Hill. No,
No, no, Old Pine Hill.
Old Pine Hill Road by the library.
Old farm there.
They put
Diane
more-
Basham.
They put more in there?
Yeah,
Yeah, Les
Eight.
Bodlow.
18 apartments.
Les is doing those?
Do I have a motion to accept the pole permit?
So moved.
second,
Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor? 5-0. And not all the lines came through, but. All right, we have no quitclaim deeds or installments. We have no abatements or supplements. Second public comment. Second public comment, any public comment? No? Executive session.
We do not need one.
We do not need an executive session. Yes,
No? Okay.
Other business and non-agenda items? Having none?
Motion to
Well,
adjourn.
really, the
Oh,
poll permit should have been under that, because it didn't make the agenda, I just got it today.
Yeah, that's new business to me. So, we have a motion to adjourn?
second.
All those in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.